Hey everyone, this is Mio Lammers of Invoked 101. Today we have a new updated pure Witchcrafter deck. This deck isn't too completely different from our last Witchcrafter deck, but it does have a few tweaks and changes to it that make it slightly better when you get the proper hands. Of course, Witchcrafters themselves are bulky and always just kind of slow. So this deck isn't going to be like super meta relevant or just mind blowing or anything. It's just tweaked a little to be just a slightly bit better. It's the best that we've been able to make so far, but we are going to continue to strive to make it better, especially with those new Witchcrafter cards that are coming out. Really fast before we get into the deck profile, please check out the description down below. We have our Patreon down there as well as our Discord where you can come and talk to us, get to know us a little. We would love to get to know you. For our Patreon, every dollar counts and it'd be greatly appreciated. So if you like this video, please consider not only liking and subscribing, but also maybe supporting us on there. It helps give us the cards that we need to improve our decks and improve deck profiles for you. But without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Starting out, we have two Witchcrafter Madame Via. During damage calculation, if your spellcaster monster battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can reveal any number of spells with different names in your hand, and if you do, your battling monster gains 1000 attack and defense for each card revealed until the end of this turn. Quick effect, you can discard one spell, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Witchcrafter Madame Via once per turn. Also, really fast, I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of these. I'm not really sure how to pronounce all their names, so I completely apologize if this is just absolutely cringy for you. But moving on, Witchcrafter Via is our huge board negate. She's the card that you want to basically sit on with some of our extra deck cards and just kind of try to draw out your opponent's plays, make it harder for them to continue so that eventually you'll be able to beat over them. Hopefully, that's the whole goal, right? I am also playing two Witchcrafter Hane. I know a lot of people only play one, but she is one of the better monsters of the deck, so I figured why not play two, especially if you end up accidentally drawing into your one copy, then there's really only one card that can get her out of your hand to make her board present. She says, your opponent cannot target other spellcaster monsters you control with card effects. Quick effect, you can discard one spell, then target one face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. You can only use this effect of Witchcrafter Hane once per turn. So while you have Madame Via on field negating all effects, Witchcrafter Hane is protecting her from being destroyed by card effects, and she is also up there to clear out your opponent's field slowly but surely to help continue just the game. Basically, you draw it out until you win. That's how Witchcrafters play. Here's the one card that can get her out of your hand. Witchcrafter Edel, or Edel, whichever way you pronounce it. She says, quick effect, you can discard one spell, special summon one Witchcrafter monster from your hand except Witchcrafter Edel. You contribute this card, then target one spellcaster monster in your graveyard except Witchcrafter Edel, special summon it. You can only use each effect of Witchcrafter Edel once per turn. So she's the only card in our deck that can special summon the bigger cards from hand. However, she is a one-of because outside of doing that, she's really not that great. She is really big, but at the same time, she doesn't really do much to advance your plays. She's a card that if you're going to get her out on the field, it's either to get out one of your bigger monsters that are stuck in your hand, or just because you already got out your board present, you're about to win, why not have her for extra damage? Moving on with our smaller monsters, we have 3 Witchcrafter Shemitah, 2 Witchcrafter Pator, and 1 Witchcrafter Pottery. I probably butchered these 2 names really badly. Basically, all you need to know about them is that Their only job is to normal summon, tribute themselves, and a spell card in hand to get out your bigger monsters such as Veer and Hane. That's their only job, their only reasoning for being in the deck. I don't play more than one copy of her simply because she has 0 attack, so if she's Veilered, then you're kind of just sitting on her being this way because there's really no reason to special summon her out, so normal she has to be an attack. Personally, I like Witchcrafter Shmita the best, the highest attack monster, normal monster that you have, so play 3 of her. That is it for our Witchcrafter cards, or Witchcrafter monster cards, I should say. We have a Windwitch Engine, of course, 3 Windwitch Ice Spell, 1 Glass Spell, and 2 Snow Bell. I know these ratios are completely wacky. Normally this is 2 and this is at 1. However, you never ever want to see this in your opening hand or in any hand at all. You want to search it, which is why I dropped it down to 1. This being at 2 is simply just because even if you don't have your Windwitch plays where you have her in hand, summon her, summon this, she can still synchro into other things, and she summons herself, so why not play 2? She'll hardly ever break your hand, so there's no reason in being afraid to draw into her. Also, the simple fact of if you only run 1 and you draw into your only copy, yeah, you can summon it out, but like it's nice to have one that you can search in your deck as well. And for the last of our monsters, we are playing 2 Ash Blossom. Whoa. I didn't know I had an Ultra in here. I might have to trade out one of my commons in my other decks for that Ultra. For spells, we have 3 Secret Village of the Spellcaster. If you control a Spellcaster monster, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control no Spellcaster monsters, you cannot activate spell cards. And 2 Terraforming just to search it. We are also running 3 Witchcrafter Creation. This is your search card. Add 1 Witchcrafter monster from your deck to your hand. During the end phase of all Witchcrafter spell cards, if I can recall, I'm pretty sure it's all of them, you can add the card from hand to grave. However, you can only use one of their effects once per turn. So if you, for example, if you use this card's effect to search, you have to wait until your next end phase to add it back to your hand from the grave. But if you send her off of the effect of one of your normal monsters to get out one of your bigger monsters, you can add it to your hand during that current end phase. We are also running 2 Witchcrafter By Street. The first time each Witchcrafter monster you control would be destroyed each turn by battle or card effect is not destroyed. You can only use one of the following effects of Witchcrafter By Street once per turn, and only once that turn. First effect is, if a Witchcrafter monster you control would discard to activate its effect, you can send this card from your field to the graveyard instead. The second effect is, during your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card face up in your spell or trap zone. I really love By Street simply just because of Hane's effect, where she can send a card to destroy a card on your opponent's. She can send a spell card to destroy a card on your opponent's field. You send By Street off of that, and then you get it back at some point back up on the field. It helps with replenishing your hand so that you can have spell cards that you actually activate, or that you have in your hand for Veer's effect. We are also running 2 Witchcrafter Scroll. Once per turn, when your Spellcaster monster destroys a monster by battle, you can draw 1 card. You can only use one of the following effects of Witchcrafter Scroll once per turn. If a Witchcrafter monster you control would discard to activate an effect, you can send this card from your field to the graveyard instead. During your end phase, if you control a Witchcrafter monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card face up in your spell trap zone. So Scroll and By Street are basically the same exact card, hardly any difference but I played 2 of each. We're also running 2 Witchcrafter Draping. This card says, target spells or traps your opponent controls up to the number of Witchcrafter monsters you control. Return those targeted cards to the hand. So she's basically Twin Twisters, but without the discard. We're also running 2 Witchcrafter Collaboration. This card says, target 1 Witchcrafter monster you control. It can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. Also, if it attacks this turn, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards until the end of damage step. 2 Witchcrafter Holiday. Target 1 Witchcrafter monster in your graveyard, special summon it. This card is really helpful, however the really sad part is that most of the time you are going to be tributing it away with your normal monsters to get out your bigger monsters. That's the real issue with this deck, is that like you won't, in the moments that you need to use your spell cards to advance your plays, you're also needing to send them to the graveyard as tribute material for your bigger monsters. That's what really slows this deck down. Our last spell card is Called by the Grave. And our extra deck is simply 1 Windwitch Winterbell and 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I know there's other cards that you can throw in here, but these are really the only 2 cards I've ever needed to make or ever wanted to make. They're easy to make. Maybe add second copies of them just in case, because you never know if your opponent can destroy them really easily or not. But you're basically going out for the Invincible Crystal Wing as what you want to end with on your board, especially going turn 1. The great thing about the Windwitches being in the deck is that although you can't do Witchcrafter plays, you special summon all of them, you go into your Invincible Crystal Wing after you burn them for 500 and 800, and then you normal out your normal Windwitch card that you have in your hand, and since they're quick effects, you wait until your opponent's standby phase, tribute them away, get out Veer or Hane, whichever is better in the situation. So that's really your best turn 1 board, and it's honestly probably the biggest board you're going to make. Straight up the biggest board I've ever made with this deck was Crystal Wing, Veer, Hane, and Edel. And at one point I almost got out a second Veer, but my opponent scooped. Sorry if this deck profile seemed a little lazy or a little fast. It's just that there's really not much to say about this deck. It's very beautiful, and the card art, it's gorgeous, and I just wish that it played just as well as its artwork looks. It is a really fun deck for casual play, but whenever it comes to people who are casual winners, people who play casually but they want to beat their friends basically all the time, this isn't necessarily a deck I recommend for you. If you're learning how to play the game, maybe, because it is a slower deck. However, if you're not a patient player at all and you want to go with fast turns, fast games, and anything else, this deck is slow, and it's kind of, to me, it feels like it's supposed to be a control deck, but it's too slow to be a proper control deck. We'll see what happens when the new Witchcrafter cards come out. Hopefully they help a lot. Leave in the comments down below what you think of the new Witchcrafter cards, if there's anything that I can currently add to this deck to make it better, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Oh, and thank you for watching.